This rap was composed over the course of today while listening to various talks. Inevitably, this sort of performance is entitled A Rap Up. This may not be the appropriate scientific forum, but my particular psychosis needs a clinical diagnosis. I'm having deficits in metacognition and in emotion. I think my ability to expect is seriously broken. Hit me with a double dose of predictive coding. Today was a clinic ever since the moment Sam Wilkinson opened it. The core hypothesis is that self-prediction holds the key to subjective consciousness, and brains contain a model of the world, and the self is a part of it. We have reactive dispositions with the Darwinian architect, and generative models have those dispositions targeted. And that's how qualia ended up in the garbage bin. Or at least qualia as a metaphysical argument instead of just a job that a generative model did. So why am I still prone to so many flawed predictions? As a lyricist, I'm supposed to have a hip-hop rhythm, but when I listen, I can't even feel my own heart twitching. Is it schizophrenically regular as a clock ticking? I don't even know whether I know, like I'm autistic. Every action I'm taking is pushing a small piston, which minimizes my free energy, like Carl Friston. When it comes to predictive processing, Carl, they say, did a lot. So it's surprising that he's so bad at predicting the length of a talk. I can relate, Carl. I'm the same with my lyrics. I'm about to smash 5 hours of rhymes in 5 minutes. I was going to summarize Wanya Wise, but I think I'll skip it. I was going to give you the spatial and temporal sampling counterfactual integration system and lay out every possible version of a model that's probabilistic in a simple table, but that's enough to make Baba ballistic. So instead of the math, I'll just say it with words and leave your interpretation as a massive Bayesian blur. If the signal isn't salient, you can probably ignore it. I'll just listen to talks and epistemologically forage and sample it all, whether intelligent or not, like Johnny Smallwood searching for the elements of thought. This performance requires a mix of imagination and memory. So is the default mode network part of it? Definitely. That's part of my rap etiquette, that eloquent, multi-dimensional sampling rhetoric, seeking semantic patterns in everything as a candidate for a metal model is excellent. It's better than Johnny's example to demonstrate that the DMN is entirely task negative. Damn. I'm going to say that phrase again just to make sure I get it rolling off my tongue. This is part of my rap etiquette, that eloquent, multi-dimensional sampling rhetoric, seeking semantic patterns in everything as a candidate for a metal model that's excellent, and that's better than Johnny's example to demonstrate that the DMN is entirely task negative. Second time was no better than the first. I was going to explain consciousness while kicking a rhyme, but I'm going to take my cue from Carl and skip that slide. I'm just a typical mammal, a beast machine animal, and you know that I enthusiastically channel psychedelics with Anna. I'm all about the hallucinogenic phenomenological perceptual presence with pharmaceuticals optional. And when the words in your lecture are too sesquipedalian, it helps to have a rapper on hand to help you with saying them. Every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling. Every day I know this is counterfactual, multifacial coupling. When it comes to this polysyllabic brand of rapping, even Marta Garnello's generative models can't hack it. I find the gradient descent and straight up propagate it backwards, and unlike her programs, this shit is handcrafted. My brain is an autoencoder that condenses and extracts the information that's represented in images, although I admit to feeling frustration that's physical when Marta broke it to me that those attractive faces were fictional. Marta, what are you denying me for? I got excited, like I was about to see an ironing board. My heart rate was oscillating. I thought I caught a fever. She did that on purpose. No wonder I was eager. I'm stuck in a room full of mathematical hot model seekers. Notice, Carl didn't show his unattractive models either. These models aren't simple. Simple models would probably strike Andy Clark as sinful. Evolution is driven by failures that fall in a sinkhole. That's how the survivors get to iron out their wrinkles. Now the conference is winding down. Overhead, the stars twinkle. And soon we'll listen to The Sound of Silence by Simon and Sarah Garfinkel. But for now, these interoceptive models are off the charts. And my predictive powers are flawed, but I predict they're not going to fall apart. So let's all do like stock traders from now on and follow our hearts. And when you're interpreting data, when you're building a model and trying to mold it, make sure every decision you come to lands in a moment that's diastolic. That'll help to mitigate the pain if your data is incomplete. Step to the edge of the explanatory gap and take a leap. When explaining consciousness, you probably won't be landing on your feet, so you're going to need protection against the agony of defeat. But for now, this model's looking like the one to beat, the one with no double transduction, where the function of the brain is to make a series of calculated assumptions, including the assumption that cuteness and fluffiness is something that the world has, not a dispositional competence. The brain is a prediction machine, extracting affordances from every conceivable scheme. I want to thank every speaker today for every excellent speech, observing my physical reactions predictively and interoceptively and everything in between. My inference at the end of it all is simply, damn, this was a scream.